Welcome to Married AF. We are your hosts, Brooke and Randall Fowler. On this show, we discuss the topics that really matter.
Like Big Granny Cox and our favorite TV shows.
So pull up a chair at our kitchen table and hang out.
While I bulldog my nuts. Cow.
Yo.
What's up, everybody?
Oh, my microphone stands still all.
We are here to discuss this awesome episode that you're about to listen to.
Yeah. Oh.
With the
this episode was
awesome Sharon Hills.
Yeah, I just need to sit down because I can't get the thing to come back up to where I'm standing up. Oh, God. Oh, goodness gracious. So this episode was pretty surreal to talk to Chris Hardwick's mom, Sharon Hills, and she's probably one of the nicest ladies ever.
Oh, she's the sweetest, and I want her to be my mom, with my mom.
You want a double mom?
Yeah, she's fantastic. The way that she beams over Chris it's
the cutest thing ever. I mean,
very awesome.
Yeah, every time she would say Christopher talking about it, it was just the cutest thing ever. It shows that, you know, that's why he seems like he is such a good person, because he really is.
Yeah, is it weird that I feel like we're bros now?
Now
I think me and Chris are bros.
Hey, quit moving in on my my celebrity BFF. You've got Stone Cold Steve Austin. Let's get an interview with his mom, and then we'll be...
We are... Yeah. I really enjoyed the interview with Sharon. Yes. It was, the conversation, because she is a force of her own, and she just kind of guides you. And
we talked a lot about a lot of good stuff, a lot of sports. And
much like Chris said, though, when you give her a opportunity, she'll lead the way. She'll
just take the wheel.
Yeah, she is a beast. And man, it was so fun. She is so good-hearted. Mm-hmm. And all the stuff that she had to say about her Twitter feed and Louis Anderson was awesome.
So anybody listening that doesn't follow her on Twitter, you should. She is at NerdistMom on Twitter, and it's just like a humongous family of happiness. I mean, there's no negativity or trolling on her Twitter. It's an anomaly. So it was an absolute pleasure to talk to her, and
I
just can't say enough nice things.
I enjoyed the shit out of her, and I think people are going to be pleasantly surprised with some of the awesome stories that she wanted to tell. And her sports IQ is
she's
off the charts.
Above and beyond. Yeah, because she's got so much basketball knowledge where I'm like, but I know a little from what I see on ESPN, but I don't watch basketball.
To me, the most impressive part of it was that just the fact that she took an interview with us that has, 300 and something Twitter followers.
Right.
When I DM'd her and asked her, expecting her to never reply, and she said sure. And
she said she's so engaged. That's what makes her so great on Twitter. She's so engaged. She's got, with all of her Twitter followers, she's got 70-something thousand, probably more than that now. And she responds to everybody pretty much. I mean, and she said on Chris's podcast last month that it is a full-time job pretty much. I mean, she is a real estate agent in LA, but she, that Twitter account is a beast, and she is so good at it.
Yeah, we couldn't thank her enough for giving us that time. She definitely didn't have to do that, and the fact that she was willing to was incredible.
Yeah.
I love the fact that she dropped some F-bombs and
Yeah, she's not afraid.
No, she's
not
fantastic.
afraid. And we did get a little bit of Walking Dead discussion in as well, of course.
Yeah, there's some great nuggets in there about the behind-the-scenes stuff that was fascinating to me.
Yeah, I mean, all the stuff that, she gets to be a part of with Chris, and he loved it. I mean, it seems like he welcomes and wants her to be there, too. Take her along for the journey. So...
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
So, I'm excited to let you guys hear it.
Yeah. Enjoy our discussion with Sharon Hills. And, Susan's calling.
We'll send her to voicemail. We'll call her back.
Sorry, Suze. I'll call you back.
We'll buzz you right back. So, without further ado, here is Sharon Hills.
Yo, enjoy.
Go. Hey everybody, we've got a special guest tonight. Can't believe she's here to talk with us, Miss Sharon Hills.
Yeah, all the way from Los Angeles, California.
At
like
Nerdist Mom on Twitter.
Yeah.
So, Sharon, I wanted to know right off the bat, because we share something in common that's very dear to my heart, and that's how you became an Alabama fan.
Well, I have been an Alabama fan, as far as I know, most of my life. I do want to say that my school is University of Miami, and I am a Hurricane through and through, and a fan, also of the Canes. But I have always been an Alabama fan because my dad was an Alabama fan when I was growing up. He loved Bear Bryant.
Beautiful.
And as a kid, I saw this fabulous stature of a man with the hat, and my dad would just talk about him all the time and talk about, his character and the way he coached his team. And, my dad admired him so much. And so, I just had this all the way from childhood. And then, and I don't know if people will know this, but I am Chris Hardwick's mom. We have different last names, but I did birth him.
You're 50% responsible for...
Yes, and of course, when I want to pay him back for embarrassing me, I will go on Twitter and say, I birthed him right out of my vagina.
Yes, yes.
That really sets him, and he's like, no.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
And believe me, I owe him a few because he will get me. He can always get me.
Yeah.
Well, here's what I love about, and we're both huge fans of Chris's, and we'll have a little pre-intro before we post this that'll kind of go over your Twitter and everything with him. But his stand-up is so different from, we love his podcast. We've loved him since... Remote Control. I remember.
Well, yeah, and
Singled Out.
Singled Out.
Yeah, Singled Out with
Yep.
Jenny McCarthy, and
Jenny
then really Talking Bad was when I was like, oh, this guy's my celebrity BFF. Like, I love him. He's awesome.
Good. Great.
But I can only imagine that's awesome when he has to deal with you posting that on Twitter. That's amazing.
Yeah. Well, and I was dying in the car the other day listening to the podcast with Louis Anderson when he said that, and then you just were like, vagina.
Yeah. I mean, it's really the only weapon I have. I used to, if I wanted him to do something or see something whatever I was trying to do, I would say, don't make me go into the whole explanation of giving birth to you and how much I suffered and all of that. And he used to say, no, I'll do anything. Now he's like, yeah, I've heard it so many times. And so then I just go on Twitter and I use the vagina word. And then, you know, and last year, I hosted at midnight
Yes.
for Mother's Day.
Mm-hmm.
And I opened by saying, and I think I had a script on the teleprompter, but I honestly did not use it. And so I just said, you know, it's Mother's Day, and you know, I'm Sharon Hills, and I gave birth to Chris Hardwick. And then I paused and I said, right out of my vagina,
Yes.
and he was backstage, and he yelled, "No!"
I remember that. That was hysterical.
That was pretty good. That was a crowning moment for me. Oh, pardon the pun, crowning.
Yeah.
Well played.
Nice.
But back to, I do want to say this about Alabama. So I grew up as an Alabama fan, and then when I got with Chris's dad, Billy Hardwick, he was born in Alabama.
Oh, I don't think I knew that.
Yeah, he was born in Florence, Alabama, but he really wasn't raised there. So he was a lifelong Alabama fan. So it was great because we went to games. We really had that in common, even up till he passed away. It was during football season, and we would talk, you know, every week before or after the game. So, you know, I have it ingrained, and I have to tell you that my own brother is so upset about it. And because we're from Miami.
Yeah.
And they all hate Nick Saban.
Right. Rightfully so.
You know, because he left, you know.
The Dolphins.
Yeah.
But, you know, I know, but you know what? I don't blame him. I would have gotten the hell out of that place too, because it just wasn't the same. You know, when after the Shula, all the front office left after Shula, you know, and it just really wasn't. And, you know, I always loved Nick Saban. And I remember once, and you can only know how funny this is if you know how close my brother and I are. But one day I said to him, well, you better stop hating on Nick Saban because I'm going to marry him. And my brother, just as straight as an arrow, said, well, I won't be coming to the wedding. Which is really funny because we're so close. But, I mean, and I have a lot of friends who are, you know, Miami alums, and they just can't stand it that I love Nick Saban. But, you know, hey, I'm sorry.
Well, it's you either love him or you hate him, I think. I mean, and it's, I went to LSU for a minute. I went to LSU and then I went to Georgia and graduated. So while I was at LSU, Nick Saban was there. Oh, yeah. So he won a national championship for us while I was there, and then he bounced and went to Miami, and it was, you know, ever since then we were all just butthurt there. And then when he went to Alabama, I was like, that's it.
That's the final straw.
It is the final straw.
And
I understand, but you know, it's like when LeBron left Cleveland, oh my God, you would think that before he left Cleveland, he murdered everyone's children before he left. And then, you know, when he left Miami, people were upset. Well, one of the greatest thrills for me, because how often do you ever get to tell someone like that something you really feel and you really want them to know? But I did get to meet LeBron because Chris, our co-executive producers on the wall, so they're
yeah.
And so we had this media day before the wall ever aired for us to see it for the first time. So LeBron was there, of course, and I was chatting with him, and I said, I just want to tell you that I'm from Miami, and he went, uh-oh. And I said, no, I want to thank you for everything that you gave us.
Yes.
You gave us more than, you know, we dreamed we could have. And I knew that you were going to go back to Cleveland, although I told him, I don't understand why those people were really mean when you left, and the owner was really mean. But I respect it. And, you know, and so it was a great thrill for me because I actually got to tell him that,
Yeah, well, and
Absolutely.
I'm sure that was a refreshing for him because he's used to just getting slammed.
Yeah.
Because I mean, when he
I
went,
said I was from Miami, he goes, uh-oh.
right? Well, and I mean, when he went back to Cleveland, it's not like they were like, "Get out." They were like, "Okay, come on."
Yeah,
No.
yeah. I said to him, as far as I'm concerned, I understand. I'm not bitter that you left Miami. I said, but those people in Cleveland don't deserve you. That's what I told him.
Nice. Yeah, and there's a lot of them already getting fired up, thinking that he's gone after this year.
Yeah. Yeah. And, and people think he's coming to the Lakers. And obviously I don't know. Trust me.
Sure.
But I can only see him going like maybe to Houston, because I don't see him making a move to another team unless he really feels he's going to have some backup and be able to win another championship. Otherwise, why would he leave? His kids are in school there. I
Exactly.
just don't see, his wife's family is all there. So I don't know, but if he came to LA, I'd be really shocked. I really would.
Yeah, I think it would have to be a place that's ready to win right now. And I'm with you. Houston that would just be a super team.
Yeah.
If he went to Houston, I mean, Harden and Paul and geez
Oh my
Louise.
gosh. That would be real. I mean, can you imagine if he had any help at all?
No, I couldn't.
All by himself.
It would be incredible because people don't give him enough credit for. I mean, he's been Cleveland's only weapon.
The only
He's
thing.
single-handedly doing this,
only-
he's single-handedly doing this, and I don't remember any great player in history who has gone to this many playoffs and championships without at least 2 all-star players on his team to back him up.
Oh yeah, I mean, and LeBron's only downfall is the period that he plays in. The hate that he gets is just because there's so much social media now.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate because it's terrible. I actually think he's a stand-up guy. He's never in trouble. He's a family man. He's great.
Exactly.
And
his kids are amazing. They are absolutely amazing little human beings. And his wife is darling, and so. But anyway.
Yeah, and I was going to tell you, I'm from Huntsville, Alabama, and and I knew about.
And you went to school in
I
Florence.
went to the University of North Alabama, which is in Florence.
Right.
And me and Brooke actually, I don't know about 7 years ago when we picked up bowling. Mm-hmm. We started bowling just to kind of have something to do as like date nights, and we got really serious into it.
Oh.
And started bowling in leagues and then tournaments, and Brooke got really good. She went all the way to a national. It was an AMF tournament for pins over average. I know you've been in bowling for years.
Well, my whole life, I was my dad owned bowling centers in Miami.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's where you and Billy met, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, when we started bowling, my average was terrible. It was like 100, I think. And then it was the perfect time when we started going to this like Friday night league for me they had this pins over average tournament where you got to go to like a regional tournament. And then if you won that, you got to go to Vegas. And I was like, there's zero chance I'm ever going to get there, but it's a fun challenge. So I entered into it and ended up actually winning and going to Vegas. And it was so much fun.
That is so cool.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was such an experience. And, I ended up placing 17th in Vegas, but I was like, well, still got a free trip to Vegas and had a blast and met a lot of cool people. And
where did you bowl in Vegas at Showboat?
The Orleans.
Oh, the Orleans.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep, they put us up there, and I had no idea there was casinos with bowling alleys in them.
Right. Right.
It was so cool, though.
Yeah, and I had actually, it's a funny story, but when we were learning, I was trying to learn how to throw a hook ball, and I'd watched a bunch of videos, YouTube everywhere to kind of slow down swings, and I'd come across Billy's and it actually really had a lot of YouTube videos cut up of his swing and his motion because it was so smooth and so, simple. And it wasn't, they use it a lot in different people for teaching. And so I kind of started looking up stuff on him and, being the blonde bomber. And it's an awesome story. He was out there when he was really young. I always like to laugh and say, I was in like 7th grade, I think, when he won the first Tournament of Champions. But yeah, it's amazing what he accomplished, and his focus was second to none. I mean, it was really
that's required. Yeah.
Yeah, and Chris has a lot of that same focus, and anything he does, if he's bowling or he's playing golf or he's playing tennis, I see his father's eyes watching the ball or the target or whatever he's doing. It's really interesting to see it.
So how good of a bowler are you?
Well, when I was bowling, most of my life, I was about a 185 average.
Nice.
Wow.
Nice.
And when I met him, he would say to me, you could strike a lot more, because I was accurate and I would hit the pocket, which for non-bowlers, it's the pin in the middle, which is the one pin, and the pin next to it to the right. The 1-2 pocket. I could hit it, but I would leave a 10 pin, and he said, it's because, your ball isn't heavy enough.
I was just going to say.
I'm only 100 pounds. And so he said, no, you can throw a 16-pound ball, which is the maximum. And I thought, how? And he said, if it's drilled properly, you don't feel the weight in the swing. And so he drilled a 16-pound ball.
16 pounds is big, though.
That's
that's
the
heaviest ball there is.
Yeah. I bowled with I made it up to a 15, but when I started, I was the same as you. I'm like 120 pounds, and so I need an 8-pound ball, please. And the guy was like, no, I'm gonna get. And
but the problem is the light balls just hit the pins.
They bounce right off
of them. And it was great, because after I started using that ball, I really got so many more strikes, and they were strikes I really deserved because I hit it in the right spot, but the ball wasn't heavy enough to carry, that 10 pin I got. So, and, I was a great spare shooter. I mean, I had to be, because, I couldn't carry a lot of strikes. So it was great,
That 185 is impressive, though. I mean,
didn't Billy pick up a 7-10 split on TV?
Yes, he did.
That's what I thought.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it was awesome. I remember seeing that. That's always been a bucket list. Like, being a bowler, we bowled a lot, and we still love bowling, but I think that's impossible. It's magic or something, because that's the toughest thing.
The only time I've ever seen somebody pick it up, it's like an accident. Like, they weren't even really trying. They're just like, screw it.
Yeah. But if you're talking, let's see, if you're talking about the Miller High Life commercial, I believe that I'm even see, I told you I was in like 7th grade. but I believe that was not the 710. I think it was the 6-7, if I'm not.
Oh, okay.
If you can
still
look,
pretty hard.
Yeah, I'll have to
well,
look.
It's very hard.
Yeah.
It's very hard to do. And I know that he did it on the second try. I mean, he has picked up the 710 before on TV, but I believe in that, in that ad, I think it was the 6-7, which is really hard to do also.
Well, he was like 17 when he became a pro, wasn't he? I mean, that's incredible.
Yeah.
The whole story of, I really enjoyed when Chris went and did the podcast with him, and it was, I mean, it was fantastic. It was moving, riveting, everything. But him talking about his old hustling days, and I mean, that's just awesome. That was a period of bowling that I wish I could have been in. Those guys were, that's when bowlers were men. I mean, they were.
You know what was fun? He used to bowl a lot. He and Glenn Campbell would bowl against Mac Davis, and I'm trying to think, Jimmy Webb, who's a great composer. I mean, by the time I get to Phoenix, I think, and a lot of those songs that almost so many things that Glenn Campbell sang. And they used to bowl for big money, but that was before me. That was before my time. But and then of course I knew them, once I married him, but they used to bowl, they called them, it sounds funny, they called them pot games, but that was money in the pot.
Money pot, not weed pot.
And so they would bowl and for big money. And
I bet.
And Glenn Campbell averaged 205. He was also a plus handicap golfer. He was one of the best athletes and probably one of the best musicians to ever live.
That's crazy.
I mean,
man, a scratch really bowler and golfer, like that's super impressive.
Oh yeah. And that wasn't his full time. I mean, he couldn't focus on it full time, know. So, Chris Paul is a great bowler, and so is Terrell Owens.
Oh yeah, I've seen him.
Yeah, I saw him in a tournament with Chris.
Yeah, Kevin Hart.
Yes,
takes it very seriously, and if you beat him, he doesn't take it.
Yeah,
kindly.
he looks like he's uber competitive. Yeah, would break.
I don't know if you ever saw the Chris Paul tournament.
Yes, absolutely.
A couple of times he won the one, and then the next year we went and we got there and they were practicing, and all of a sudden I see French Stewart, and I really shouldn't even know who that is, At my age I probably shouldn't know. And I was like, oh my God, there's French Stewart, and my friends were like, who's that? So
it's crazy who you see at those those celebrity bowling tournaments sometimes. I mean, I'm like, wait a minute, because we saw Kevin Hart in one recently where I was like, oh, no way. And he was killing
Kevin
it.
Hart, he takes it very seriously.
Yeah, I love it when Chris bowls in him, though, because he is head and shoulders above so many people. It's just so smooth.
He just hasn't been able to the last
he's got 17
years.
Jobs.
Exactly. And I know he hates it, that he can't. But when I saw French Stewart, oh my God, I looked down there and he did not have fingers in the ball, and he would stand at the line and just dump the ball, and it went in the gutter every time. And I felt so bad, and I thought, oh my God, this is going to be so embarrassing.
Yeah, because usually celebrities that enter those tournaments, they know that they have skills.
Oh, but see, he didn't even, he just did it.
That's
he
funny.
thought, it'll just be fun. Well, I felt so bad for him. I was embarrassed for him. So I went down and I said, I can help you so you could at least, I think, keep the ball on the lane. He's like, okay. So I told him what finger, first I had him change balls. He had a 10-pound ball.
Oh my goodness.
This is not going to work. That's why your fingers don't fit. They're for kids.
Sure.
And so I got him the ball, and I literally got him to take the fourth step, and I got him to end on the left foot, and I got him. I instead of having him spot bowl on the lane, I try to make it easy. So I taught him how to pin bowl and look at the shadows of the pins, and I taught him the most important thing is get the ball out, you're gonna reach out and touch the pins down there, and then bring your arm all the way up to the ceiling. Well, that guy did every single thing I said, and he won the effing tournament.
No way.
Yes, and Chris, I know, was annoyed because afterwards he said to me, Do me a favor. The next time you come, don't help anyone.
That's hilarious. That's awesome.
Wasn't that tournament on TV?
Yeah, they're all on
All the
TV.
celebrity ones are, yeah.
But they didn't show, like, of course, where you were coaching him, right? I remember watching that tournament.
Before that.
Yeah,
I mean, no one could believe it because they saw him practicing, and then all of a sudden he did everything. It was the best student I've ever had. And then
he sounds like the most coachable person ever.
Ever. And then Chris, like, he doesn't want to be mean to me or like let me think that he was upset with me. So he goes, do me a favor next time. Don't help anyone.
That's awesome.
Oh my
God. I said, how did I know that he was
right?
Really, I was just trying to help him from being embarrassed.
From embarrassment, yeah. What are the odds he was actually going to take everything I said and apply it perfectly and win?
Right.
That's awesome.
That's so awesome. I did want to ask you, Sharon, just because it was a big reason of what put the thought in both of our heads about even reaching out to you to see if you would consider coming on was when we listened to the Louis Anderson podcast that you did. Mm-hmm. That was by far 1,000 times the most emotional, sweet thing I've ever experienced listening to podcasts, and I've listened to them for years.
Well, that's nice. I have to say, Chris and I were sitting with the sweetest guy on earth. I mean, he is so sweet. It's like he's just coated in sugar, and it's real. He's just the kindest, sweetest, dearest soul. I mean, I just adore him.
Yeah, he just sounds like, and he seems like he just oozes just kindness, and
he does. He really does.
And
we had a little fun with him because
the cussing was awesome.
Yeah, he doesn't swear. And when he first did it, we kind of laughed, and then when he started just going, and he was really
you were like, we broke him.
I said, what have we done? What have we done? And it went so. It was just, it was so much fun, but, he was crying and I was crying.
Oh, I was crying.
A little misty-eyed, and then we were laughing so hard too, So it was such a special day.
Yeah, I got the audiobook.
Hey Mom.
Hey Mom today. Yeah, and I've listened to like 2 hours of it, and Louis reads the audiobook too, so it's like. But yeah, I mean, it's really good. I mean, I was like crying half the time listening to that podcast. And I mean,
I've never been so like locked into a podcast before where it was, like you disappear and you're just sitting there with whoever you're listening to, like with that one. And I'm not an emotional guy. Brooke will tell you I'm dead inside, but I mean,
Randall, I don't believe that.
But that was just so touching. I mean, I think everybody that listened was like, I want Sharon Hills to be my mom. My mom right now.
Yeah. No, I mean, I gotta say, I totally admire I can just tell that you and Chris have such a good relationship, and like you're so close, and it's just so nice to see that an adult that's in the media, in the public, is still so close with his mom, and not in a creepy way, just that y'all obviously you can just tell that you did everything right, like you did everything you could right, and he's
I tried. I'm sure I didn't do everything right, but
from the outside.
I do like to say that as close as we are, the umbilical cord is cut.
Yeah.
But, but we are very close. And, what I did when I had him was not popular then. But, I never gave a rat's ass what other people thought when it came to my child and what I thought was best. But it wasn't popular then for me to give up my career. And look, I was very fortunate that I could give up my career. I mean, everyone can't do that.
Yeah.
And, but I was able to do it. So I decided that I would take my education and my life experience at such a young age, which I thought I had so much of, that I would put that my job then was to put all of that into this child.
Oh yeah. Well, it is a job. I mean, it's,
yes.
yeah. And it's, I can't imagine. I mean, we have a 4-year-old and I can't, we both work full time, and there's some days on the weekends where we're all hanging out and I'm like, I don't know what I would do. Like I have so much respect for stay-at-home moms that, because when they're little and before they're going to school and they're just with you all the time, I'm like, I don't know how stay-at-home moms like keep them occupied and entertained all day. And so, I mean, it's my sister did it with 3 boys and I just can't. Yeah. So kudos.
Well,
I know I'd figure it out.
I loved every minute of it, and I always feel badly if someone wants to do that and they can't. So I'm I'm very sympathetic about that. But, the fact is, I also thought, look, I'm not going to sit home and eat bonbons just because I'm not working outside of the home. This is going to be my job, and I'm going to put everything into this child that I would put in my career, and see what happens. And so again, I was very blessed, and we lost our second child at 7 months. I mean, I was 7 months pregnant, and I know I said that in the podcast, but I had him at home, and and so I put every single thing, into him, and but while trying to teach him that, yes, I spoiled him, but he was disciplined. And people can raise their children how they see fit. I'm all for that. I do not believe in hitting not just a child, but an animal or another. I just don't like hitting of any kind. And I made his dad, when he asked me to marry him, I said, well, you have to agree that you will not ever lay a hand on our children, because if you can't agree to that, I can't marry you.
Deal breaker. Yeah. Well, that's good that you put that out there ahead of time. And
he was like, well, I don't think there's anything wrong with it, but okay. And then he was a man of his word. He never, he never did it. And, but I had rules, and I did not, veer from those. And I'm a negotiator. That's what I do. I wanted to be a lawyer. And I negotiate in real estate, and it's my favorite thing. I just like to go with my friends and help them buy a car, because I like to negotiate the deal and make the car salesman he will do anything just to get rid of me.
Make him squirm a little.
He'll give up his commission if I'll just go away.
Oh, that's great.
That's awesome.
So yeah.
Well, and that's what you got to do with little kids is negotiate. I mean, we don't spank our kids either. And so, I mean, it's all about, well, if you're not going to, we actually just gave him back his iPad today because he,
that's it.
he lost it. It does. I mean,
it does work because, with Chris, when he was little, it was cartoons and video games.
Oh, yeah.
And so I would say, okay, if you do that one more time, no video games. Well, he did it one more time. Yep. So I took
They
away
always do.
Every day he would come to me, Mommy, and he was such a cute little con artist. He was like, Mommy, and he would touch my face. I promise I've learned my lesson. I won't do it again. And I would say, I know that, but I would be a bad mommy if I go back on, this punishment. I have to do it so that you'll be a better person when you grow up. So about the 5th day, it was a 7-day punishment. And the 5th day, he comes in and he comes up to me and he says, Mommy, I have an idea. And I said, what? He said, He says to me, "Could you just beat me instead?"
Oh my God.
Oh my goodness.
And I went, "What? No."
Oh.
I said, "No, because I don't believe in hitting. And 2, because now you've just shown me that what I'm doing is really working.
It's working,
If you'd
yep.
rather have a beating than what I'm doing,
Oh
I
my
know it's going to work."
That is hysterical. That sounds just like something
It sounds
Gunnar would
just
do.
like him.
Oh my gosh, like to the T. I mean, he's only 4 now, but he'll do the same thing. He'll come up and put his little hands on my face. "Mommy, you look so pretty. Can I have my iPad?"
Oh, that's it. Oh, yes, the little pawn artist.
Oh my
yeah.
God. And he's just the cutest little thing. And I'm like, I gotta, inside I'm screaming like, "Stay strong."
I know. It's not easy, but
It's not.
but you know what? They learn, and I taught him, well, Big Bird taught him the word cooperation.
Oh, very
And
nice.
one day Big Bird was singing about and talking about cooperation, and I thought, So I said to him, "We're going to have cooperation. You do something for me, and I do something for you." And then when he didn't do what he was told, the next thing he asked me for, I said, "I really want to do that for you so badly, but you didn't cooperate with me. Now I can't cooperate with you."
Nice.
And trust me, they get it.
Oh yeah.
They get it.
Oh yeah.
Well, so that brings me to a question about. I think I heard you on the podcast, or it may have been the one with Billy, but saying that it was pretty evident from a young age, though, that Chris was very determined, or it may have been on Twitter where you say he's very smart, always great grades on his own, very disciplined. And so was that an always thing? Like, has that just always been?
Yes, and I had concerns that he was an overachiever. So what I would do, he would come home with straight A's, and I would look at his report card and I would go, "Straight A's again, boring. Can't you come home with a D or something one time?" And I mean, I was just
Get detention or something.
And he was like, "What? A D?" And then he would say no, and then he would laugh, because he thought he was really getting one on me. And he would come home with these test scores in the top 0.5% in the country, and then I would say, I would say something teasingly, but I was so proud, But
of course,
yeah.
But I tried to keep him grounded. I found out from Duke University when he was in 4th grade what his IQ was, and I never told him as a child.
Yeah, you don't want him to get. Yeah, I mean that's smart
because you don't know if they'll just get complacent,
right, or too big for their britches.
Yeah, or what it'll do. So I didn't do that, and I just tried to, keep him as grounded as I could, and give him the opportunity to do all the different things, because gifted children, if you don't educate them properly, they'll be good at everything and great at nothing. Because as soon as they master one thing, they drop it and they move on. And we actually moved to Memphis, Tennessee, and I had never been there in my life.
I lived there for a little while when I was younger.
Oh, you did?
In Germantown.
Yeah. Well, we lived out on Colonial Country Club in Cordova. But all of our friends, we have a lot of friends in Germantown. That's where I shopped.
Yeah.
But so we moved there for him to go to this school that Duke had a program that they supervised for gifted children, because people don't understand how to educate smart kids. They think overloading them with extra work is the way to do it, and it's really punishing them. And so we moved there so he could go to this school, and it was fabulous. It was the best thing that we've ever done, was to move there.
Well, and then he's there with a bunch of other kids that are on the same level as him, right?
Well, but the great thing about this school, they founded it for kids with learning disabilities. But the husband and wife who founded it were so smart. They realized that kids who are gifted are just as much at a disadvantage.
Yeah.
And so their curriculum, they had learning disabilities, they had the regular curriculum, and then they had the gifted. And then he was in several classes in all three groups.
Oh.
And he would sit in a normal, where, in other words, they could work at their own level in that classroom. Some kids might not be working at his level. I mean, it takes a lot to put together a school like that, but it was so special that it was worth moving to Memphis for.
Wow. I don't think I remember hearing that y'all lived in Memphis. I don't think I knew it was for him to go to school. That
was the only reason.
That's awesome, though.
It was Auburndale School on Germantown Road.
Oh.
Wow.
Is there any relation to that Duke Talent Improvement Program, that TIP?
That's exactly what it is.
Is that it? Okay? Yeah, because that my stepson, Randall's oldest son from his first marriage, is 13, and he's in that now.
It's a great. Fantastic.
That's great.
Yeah, he just took the ACTs or something recently. I'm like, you're 13.
they gave Chris a ticket in 4th grade, and he went what was then Memphis State. It's now University of Memphis, and took the SATs.
Yeah,
in 4th grade. Yeah.
That's just like Griffin did maybe it was the SATs or ACTs, but it was last year when he was like 12. And I mean, he's the same thing with all straight A's.
They're the pioneer of the gifted education.
Nice.
They really are.
I don't think I knew it was around that. I mean, not that Chris is, he's only a few years older than us, but I don't think I knew that was around back then.
It's weird with people. Chris is so young, but he has been around forever. He's it's insane.
He's really been around 80 years.
I'm telling you that.
I know. Believe me, I feel like that. When he was little, I used to think, I don't know if you'll have any idea who this is, but there used to be a great golfer named Tony Lima.
Yeah.
And Tony Lima had died in a plane crash. I think it was a plane crash. And then after that, Christopher was born, and he had this fascination with Spanish, which we didn't speak at the time. Well, I could speak it because I grew up in Miami, but it wasn't something I was trying to teach him then. Huh. And then he rolled up a newspaper when he was 14 months old, and he would just take a golf swing all the time.
Oh my God.
And I said, I think this is Tony Lima reincarnated.
Right.
So yeah, he's an old soul.
Oh,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've got to give not just him, but you a lot of credit, just because he's got to be one of the such a gentleman on everything I've ever seen or heard with him.
Yeah.
To everybody that he meets, and I can only imagine and I'm not a mother, I'm a father, but to see him be that respectful to everyone, that whether it's a guest or even on Talking Dead. Probably my favorite part of Talking Dead is when he has the fans come up and ask a question, and he gives them the gifts, and you just know it's genuine. It's not bullshit, and that just has to go back to the way you guys raised him somewhat.
Well, I really appreciate that, because that always truly was so important to me, that I wanted him to be compassionate, and I wanted him to listen to other people, what they have to say, or engage with them. Because look, when you have a child that's good at everything, and they're an overachiever, and their mind goes so quickly, you have to try to rein that in enough so that they can think about, and he's an only child, and we had lost a child. So I was so concerned about, and I said to him many, many times, you're the most important thing to us, but you're not the most important person to everyone else, And so just because we think that everything you do is cute, not everyone else is going to think that, So, it's a tough balancing act to
Yeah, it goes back to
make
keeping
sure
them grounded.
but to make sure that they have all of the self-confidence, but that they don't get so carried away that they're selfish and,
Right.
you know, and
Well, he seems like the most least selfish person or self-centered person that there could be.
You know, he doesn't take himself overly serious. I mean,
no,
it's all.
he really does not.
But that's I wanted to ask you while I'm thinking about it, if that because that seems like the way you taught him, which shows you practice what you preach, which I think is very important for parents. The way that you have such an awesome Twitter account that's infamous because. I've been following you for a while, and I think your Twitter account's great, and we've all heard Chris talk about it, and it's awesome and funny. But, you know, the fact that you take time and talk to so many people with just, you know, they'll have a question, and I know none of them expect you to reply, and you always do. But if you look at your Twitter feed, it's different than anyone else that does that, that's maybe in the public eye. I never see anybody trolling you or bashing you.
I know that's what Chris says.
Your Twitter feed is so positive.
It's an anomaly for sure.
It is
amazing.
the rarest thing. That's what really drew me. Like made me. Oh gosh, I love her. This Twitter account.
What asshole would troll?
I know, but if you want to feel, if you want to feel better, go to Sharon Hill's Twitter.
Yes,
that's where where you wish the world was like that all the time.
Yes.
Oh,
yes, and all the. I mean, yeah, I'm a huge animal lover too. I was a veterinary technician for 9 years before getting into my current career.
That's so wonderful.
Yeah, like I was dying laughing at the story where you said when Chris was little, he would be jealous of the dogs.
Yeah.
Mom, they're bothering me.
I know. I mean, he called me all the way upstairs and he said, they're bothering me. What are they doing? They're looking at me and I don't want them to.
That's so funny.
Oh, that's hilarious.
And then I do have one really funny story about that, if you want to hear it.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
So my stepson was out here with us. He came out here to go to school. They lived in Ohio. And then his friend from high school came out to go to USC. So Chris was doing Singled Out, and we invited her over to dinner, and we had Chris come home from UCLA for dinner because, you know, his stepbrother and this girl were coming over. And so they show up, and the girl has jeans on, and the back pocket of her jeans was shredded, and it made the most interesting looking design, like you were trying to figure out really what it was.
So, the 90s.
We all looked at it. We all were looking at it. So Chris comes, and now we're all in the kitchen. And all of a sudden, because he's very artistic, he sees, I mean, it looked like a Rorschach, and he sees this design, and he's looking, and he's trying to, and we're all busy. And he's trying to figure it out, and he bends over to look at it more closely. Oh, and I see him doing that, and I said, Christopher. And the girl turns and looks over his shoulder, and there he is.
With his face right by
pocket. And he immediately says, oh, I'm sorry, but my mom raised me with dogs as siblings, and that's how I get to know people.
Oh my gosh, that is hysterical.
That's fantastic.
That was quick.
Laughed so hard. I mean, but you see, it was always on his mind that he had his siblings were dogs. And, you know, he liked to tattle on them.
Did you? Do you have a favorite breed of dog by chance, or just? I mean, I know you love all animals, but. I do love all animals. You know, I had 2 Schnauzers. I've had a Yorkie. I had a Lhasa Apso. And I've had a Bichon. And Benji is like a poodle mix. So, you know, I just like that, you know, I just love all dogs.
Yeah, dogs are,
and cats.
Yeah, cats, I mean, I like cats too. It's totally different with cats. Like dogs, it's just that unconditional love, and you can do no wrong. They're always happy to see you. Cats, it's more like, I'll let you exist.
My big cat is like a dog. And it's funny because when I drive up and get out of the car and open the door, he's at the door waiting every single time. And I watch him on my little video camera.
Awesome.
And one day I stopped at the house next door and just stopped my car and looked at the camera, and he came out of one of the rooms and went into the hallway and was sitting at the door, and I wasn't even in front of my house yet.
He could just hear your car.
I was amazed by that, but that's what he did.
Aww.
And then Grace is very independent, and
is that the cat that attacks you?
Yes, if you touch her.
Was she a feral cat?
Yeah. Some girls found her on the street when she was not a year old, and I don't think she was ever touched by human hands, so she doesn't want hands to touch her. She'll come to you, but you can't really go to her.
Well, and that just shows you're a true animal lover, because a lot of people that get cats and dogs, it's like it's for them because they want to be able to hold it and touch it and pet it, so like that just shows that you truly love them for them, because you want to love her the way she wants to be loved and not the way that you want to love her.
I mean, I look at her sometimes and I go, sometimes you're so mean. But I love you so much.
But you're so mean.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Well, we have a little dog like that.
Yeah, I know, but I know she doesn't. It's just she just can't help it.
Our little Chihuahua. We've got a pit bull and a Chihuahua, and we had a golden that we had to put her down 2 years ago. She was awesome.
It'll be 2 years in a couple months.
Oh, they're such wonderful dogs.
That was my first child.
The Chihuahua, though, completely mortifies our pit bull.
I know.
I mean, he dominates.
No doubt.
He dominates our pit bull. Our pit bull is scared to death of him.
And he's 5 pounds, and John is like 80 pounds, and he's terrified. But
the alpha is the alpha. They don't know what size they are.
Exactly. And Gunnar, our son, will say that Emilio is John's dad just because of the way.
Emilio is, of course, the Chihuahua, and John is our pit bull.
It's just so funny because even the 4-year-old picks up on the dynamic, like, oh, he must be the dad.
That's hilarious. Well, I did also, Sharon, we had, I don't want to, take up all of your time, but we had a couple of people from Twitter send a couple of questions that they wanted for you. Would you be okay with answering them?
Oh, of course. Absolutely.
Awesome. This one is from Hopeless Optimist on Twitter, at Hopeless Optimist. And she said, when you were a little girl, what did you want to be when you grew up? And what did everyone, parents and friends, say that you would be good at?
Oh, I wanted to be a psychologist or a lawyer, which kind of is what I'm doing now. Not in a court of law, but I like to negotiate and I love contract work. And everybody comes to me with their problems, and that's fine. I don't mind. So that's what I wanted to do. But everyone, my family, every person I ever went to school with, and everyone who ever knew me, was convinced that I would be a well-known singer. Because
I was just going to ask
always
that.
Sang. Yeah, and it was funny because I loved singing and I sang all the time. I sang the national anthem for all the home Dolphin games when Joe Robbie owned the team.
Nice.
Because he wouldn't let anyone else sing it. And I sang in, I did, the Kenley Players was a group from Ohio that were, musical comedy, which I did that. And I was offered a contract when I was in college to tour with the New Christie Minstrels, which nobody's heard of now. But the girl, I didn't take it because I had to be gone from home for 18 months. And I couldn't even come home for Christmas. And I just, that wasn't me. I'm a family person. We had a big Italian family, and I just couldn't imagine being away from my family. So I didn't want to do it. But they only had 2 girls in the group, and they needed a blonde soprano, which is what I would have been. And the girl who took it when I didn't ends up marrying John Davidson. So I might have had a little regret.
Well,
that is a crazy
but then you
story.
wouldn't have Chris.
No, I didn't. I only had regret until
then.
Until I had Chris.
Yeah.
I still, but I did get to sing at the Hilton Hotel in Vegas
Nice.
a song with John Davidson.
Wow.
Ooh.
So that was kind of fun. And then I sang with Bobby Benton when he was there. So
That's impressive.
but it's something I always loved doing, but it was not a career that I wanted. I did a lot of work in sports, so that, as it turns out, would have been my ideal career.
Like a sports
Except
commentator?
Yes, except that in sports, you travel a lot because half the games are away. And I would never give up, my child for the sake of any of those careers. So,
yeah, I could see you being a killer sports agent because it kind of combines all of your skills.
Exactly, yes. That is my dream job. And I always felt the reason I could do that is I really, truly believe that the parents of these kids coming out of college, going into the pros, would know that their kids were safe with me and they could trust me.
Oh, sure. 100%.
Because I would not put my greed above what was good for those kids, So, that is a boat I really missed, but I don't look back on anything with regret, or as Louis says in the podcast, we gwet.
We gwet, yeah.
Yeah, we gwet. We gwet.
Yeah.
Now everyone has to listen to the podcast so they'll get
Yes,
that joke.
you have to listen to the very little known independent podcast Chris Hardwick.
The ID10T.
ID10T, yep. And I think it was from April 27th. But yeah, it's one of the most recent ones. So are you going to, from what I think Chris mentioned it or Louis mentioned it, are you going to look into getting your own podcast since you clearly have a knack for
that would be amazing.
I think it's something here's what I would like. I would like to take my Twitter persona, which is me. I mean, it's not a fake persona, but what I do on Twitter into a podcast is what I would like if I was going to do one. And there could be some sports and then,
absolutely,
but it would mostly be, I think that, I have found through having this Twitter account that there are so many people that have been scarred and damaged by their parents. I just can't even fathom it or bear it. And so I'm trying as hard as I can to give them something or anything because they have a value that they don't know they have, and it just kills me.
Well, that's so sweet.
That someone would think that for any reason their parent would not give them all the love that they deserve, and that it's not them and it's not their fault. So that's something that if I could do that and we could talk about things that, that are hard for people to talk about or deal with, but if they could come away from it just feeling better about themselves, if I could do anything, if I could make them feel better about themselves and help them to go forward and learn to like themselves first, that would mean everything to me.
Oh.
I mean, that's exactly what I take away from your Twitter, because you get so many. It's really incredible. It's quite a phenomenon where you'll get all kinds of questions, ranging from oh, what was Chris like as a kid, to, what kind of dogs do you like? I mean, and how did you do this? And you answer, that when you answer people, you never know whose day that makes or whose month that makes of actually getting a reply from Nerdist Mom. And so there's so much value in what you do on Twitter, and I respect the shit out of it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much.
I think it's.
I do love it so much, and honestly, I'm not just saying this, but I really do feel like everyone there, like we're a family. And you know what really, really makes me the happiest of anything is when someone is down, someone loses a pet, someone is hurting, and they tweet publicly. So that means I'm not disclosing something that they don't want out there.
Sure.
And then I retweet it with a comment, and then everybody piles on and gives love and sympathy. And I cannot even tell you how happy that makes me.
Yeah.
That we all stick
Spreading the
together. That's what I want. I just want everyone to love each other. I wish that I could get people to love each other no matter what the differences are.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Not everybody's going to agree on everything. And I feel like, and that's okay.
Yeah.
What I have no tolerance for is if someone doesn't agree with someone else's view and then they insult them or they want to disconnect from them or that. No, because, I was raised that everybody's view is their own and that's their right. And that you don't have to agree or like it, but respect it,
100%.
And just say, you know what? I like you as a person. I see the good in you. I don't really agree with what you're saying, and I might not like it, but I still like you, and I want you to have the freedom to be you with me. And if we disagree, it's quite okay to do that. It's all right. And that's why they have chocolate, vanilla, and strawberry, and 33 other flavors or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody could learn a valuable lesson though from looking at your Twitter, because it's obviously the result of not only people have gotten to know you and know that that's your stance and your belief, but they've incorporated it into that family of your Twitter account, which is huge, and that they all follow that rule, because you don't see anybody coming on. It's literally the only Twitter feed I've ever been on where you don't see anybody coming on being like, "Oh, kiss my ass." You're
right.
I've never seen it. Blows my mind that everyone's.
I'm really lucky. Chris says the same thing. He goes, "How do you not get trolls?" I feel so bad when I look at his Twitter feed a lot of times. Oh my God,
people are so mean sometimes, and
he has the worst trolls. And you know what they troll him about? Because he's too nice.
Exactly.
That's
and
just stupidity.
and it kills me sometimes, because I'll look through some of his feeds sometimes, and a lot of times he'll like engage them and have a comment and try and be like, so, I appreciate your comment, and then like it's just he'll reply to them with like these big, and I'm like, oh man, you don't even need to try, dude. Like,
I know
they're just gonna hate no matter what. I think.
Yeah, I mean, and I, try not to engage with them because,
well, you don't want to be like, yeah, quit saying shit about my son.
Exactly.
You don't want to be that mom. Like, he is a big boy, but
when the truth is, I really will claw your eyes
Oh, of
out.
course, your
yeah.
mama bear.
Exactly. But yeah, I can't imagine.
Well, in a way, I would. But you know what? I always tell him, try to feel sorry for that person, because imagine how unhappy and how hurt they've been by someone, and that they're lashing out. And
that they feel the need to lash out to somebody that they don't even know.
Because, everyone, I think a main need that everyone has is they want to feel significant.
Mm-hmm.
And I love Tony Robbins, and Tony Robbins talks about that people who commit, like people who get in gangs, people who commit sometimes those kinds of crimes, they're just trying to be significant.
Mm-hmm.
However they can be. And I think that if they were made to feel that way at home, they wouldn't be seeking it. And look, people will go after any recognition they can get. A lot of people, no matter what it is,
whether it's positive or negative, it's just like attention is attention.
So long as they get it.
Mm-hmm.
And that really breaks my heart, because they must be in so much pain to be, that mean. And so I do, like, sometimes I have responded to somebody like that, and I say, I'm sorry that you feel this way, and something must have hurt you, and that hurts me, and I'm so sorry. And that's all they wanted. And then they don't want to fight anymore, and they come around. And I think, that a lot of people, if they could just get that,
Mm-hmm.
But it's hard when someone's, slandering you or slurring you,
or being doing that to your baby.
Yeah.
All right. So last question that we'll ask you is, for The Walking Dead, what was your overall opinion on this season? Do you have like an overall thought?
Oh, I do. I have a lot to say about it, but I'll try to condense it. And here's what I have to say. First of all, I hated, not this season, but I hated seeing Glenn killed, number one.
That was a bummer.
I hated that.
God.
I hated it.
And Abraham. I miss Abraham's little one-liners.
I know.
Bitch nuts. And
I hate to see anyone go.
Ugh.
I really do. And I
Carl.
don't like, there are some other things in the story that I don't like, but this is so important for me to say, because I truly, honestly swear to God, feel this way. I don't have to like every part of a storyline that is someone else's vision.
Right.
And I would not like this show if it's not that I read the comics, but if this show went straight down the line and followed the comics, why would it be a TV show? What would there be?
Right.
You'd be bored to death.
I wouldn't like it, and I wouldn't want to know. And I just think that that's like me going to a great songwriter and saying, I don't like that melody. I think you should change the melody. Or going to James Patterson and telling him how to write his book. Look, you watch it and you take away from it, either if you don't like it, you don't like it. But you should not be in control of someone else's vision for their story. That's my feeling. And I've been not happy with a lot of fans, look, if you don't like it, turn it off, go somewhere else.
Well, exactly. And that's,
I think that would be a big mistake because I think that, the show has proven that it's a great show.
Well, it's going to be going into 9th season. Not many shows can say that. I mean,
and I just am so tired of people whining and crying. And
Amen, sister.
And then I did have a couple of people, get a little terse with me when I said that, and they were like, we're the fans. Yeah, you're the fans.
So are you, though.
And why don't you just sit back? You don't know what's coming. You don't know where the story's going. And it killed me to lose Glenn. I didn't want to see it happen.
Yeah.
But what kind of show would it be? I hate predictability. If it was predictable,
it would be boring.
I would not. Exactly.
Yeah. When I hated Carl killed me. I was actually, Carl got on my nerves a little bit when he was younger.
Yeah.
He had come around and grown on me, and I was really loving the man he was becoming. And so that really bummed me out. I was sobbing, violently, Randall could tell. It was ridiculous. I was ugly crying.
I don't know, though, what I love the most about, we actually review the episodes when Walking Dead's going on. It's part of this podcast. Brooke has a segment. She reviews every episode, and
cool.
so we watch. We've been watching for years. Brooke more than me
since the beginning for me.
And we also watch Talking Dead. We record it on DVR, and I don't know if anyone is ever as hurt when someone is killed off as Chris. I mean, you can see it in his face.
There isn't. Oh, yeah.
No, and that's why we need him in our, somebody like me.
And he just found out. He just found out before he walked out there.
Yeah, he watches it. Don't they watch it, in the studio?
Well, there's an audience that watches it. Then there's a green room. That's where I am. And we watch it. And he watches it either in his dressing room or just before he leaves his house. He watches it, gets in his car, and goes to the studio. And he comes to the studio. He goes in his dressing room. He doesn't want to engage. He doesn't want to process.
He's got to save it.
He doesn't want any of that. He just is really in our frame of mind. And so, and he wouldn't have it any other way. And look, it does hurt him every time. And, he loves Chandler, and he was so shocked because he would kill those people if they told him ahead he's like, don't you tell me anything.
I know.
That's why he doesn't like to go to Sonoya, because he does not want to see ahead what's going to happen.
Right.
And so he used to go down there, but then he quit because he couldn't help but know what was coming.
Right. He didn't want to spoil it.
Yeah, and a little...
But he's hurt. But you know what? That's just the nature of the show.
Oh, God, yes. Yeah.
In order to be... Look, it's about zombies, so I'm not going to say...
The apocalypse, yeah.
In order for the show to be real, but as far as the characters and as far as to try to make it as believable as something like that can be, you have to have things that happen as they would happen in that situation.
Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised Judith lasted this long. I mean, when they had that baby, I remember when Gunnar was a newborn, and it was I think that during the season, it was when Judith was a little baby and they're trying to walk through the woods with her. I would have panic attacks and go into Gunnar's room when he's sleeping and be just look at him and be I can't take it. It was so stressful.
Brooke, I'm going to have to tell you what I have to tell a lot of people. Now, I know this is going to come as a shock, but I'm going to have to. Here's a little therapy right now. It is fiction.
It's make-believe. I know.
None of those people are dead.
It's not a documentary. I know.
No, Chandler Riggs is fine.
Yeah, he actually lives right around the corner from us.
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah, he lives. I was going to tell you that's a little fun fact. He lives right in a neighborhood right down the road from us here in Georgia.
He went to the high school that Gunnar will go to when he grows up.
Yeah,
in
and
high
so
school.
Cool.
watching him become a man was really fun.
Oh,
Yeah.
It's been so great.
Well, and that's why
to see
Chris's
him.
show is so important too, because it kind of helps snap us back into reality
Oh, it
and
does.
get the therapy session and like see the actors sitting on the stage or sitting on the couch,
Yeah.
like, okay, it's not real, like, because you do get so invested that like it's.
Oh, I know.
Ugh.
And so do the actors. I mean,
Oh yeah.
Emily Kenny started crying on the couch that day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then Chris was tearing up. I mean, it's a family to them, and they don't want to leave either. But I'll say it again. In order for the show to have any validity as being, if there were an apocalypse, and if any of that were real, then the zombies or the bad people wouldn't go, oh, well, we can't kill
Well,
Carl.
that's a main
of
character.
The favorite, So
Yeah.
that's what has to make it
Yep.
more real and shocking. Look, the show has to shock.
Uh-huh.
That's half of,
And they are
what
good at it.
people
Yeah.
expect. And they are great.
Well, and it made me think back to like, I remember when Robert Kirkman was on at midnight, like last year, and he's done it on
Yeah.
Talking Dead before. And I think it was last year where he would just like mess with everybody, where he'd be like,
Yeah.
man, it sure is going to suck when we kill Carl next season. Like, and back
Yeah.
then we were all like, shut up, like, stop it. And as soon as it happened, like I told Randall, I was like, damn it, Robert Kirkman. You got me.
I know. Well, he's a genius. He's
Oh my
brilliant
God,
because,
yes, he is. Yeah.
to say that because he figured, well, no one will
Exactly.
Laugh and they'll
Yep.
go, well, that means Carl's safer. He wouldn't have said it.
Exactly. And I was always like looking skeptical, like at is he doing the double negative? Like,
Yeah, that guy's a psychology wizard.
he is.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
But I have to tell you, once people start to catch on, he switch it up again.
Oh, exactly.
Of course. Yeah. Oh, he'll be, he's-
now you notice that the surprise guest is not always killed off.
Oh yeah, they've been, yeah, for sure. Well,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I don't know if you watch Fear the Walking Dead at all.
Oh, yeah, I do.
Yeah, me too. And I watched the new one actually on my iPad today while I was at work, being very productive, and then
Good for you.
I know, and then Talking Dead too, of course. And I absolutely adore the guy that plays John Dory. I think he is hysterical. Like I watch Raising Hope a lot on syndication because I think he's so funny.
Oh, he's great. Yeah.
Well, Sharon, I've got one last super important question, and we're done.
No, I'm fine. I'm in for the night, so don't worry about it.
I need to know if Jeffrey Dean Morgan is as handsome as I think he is. Have you seen him in person?
Have I seen him?
She's probably
Have
been
I
to his
seen
house
him?
for Thanksgiving or something.
I mean, let me count the kisses I've received from Jeffrey Dean
Oh my
Morgan.
gosh.
That guy's
Yeah.
handsome.
Oh, and I don't know if you ever saw Magic City it was on Stars, and it only lasted 2 seasons.
Mm-mm.
Look it up and watch Magic City. He starred in
City.
that.
Okay.
You know what it is? It's a Mad Men era
Okay.
Oh, cool.
show, and he's like the John Hamm as far as the
Oh,
handsome.
that would be perfect.
Oh, but
Mhm.
but it's about where I grew up, which is in Miami, and it's about Miami Beach in the 60s when kind of the mob ran the
Mhm.
hotels on the beach and all. Oh my God, that's the first time I ever saw him was back then.
Yeah, we remember
And
him
when
from
I
Grey's
found
Anatomy.
out he was going to be on Walking Dead, and then when remember when he said to Sasha,
Uh-huh.
those are some beach ball sized lady nuts.
Yes.
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 So I went on Twitter after that and I said, he's going to be on Talking Dead next week. And I would give anything if he would say that to me. Well, then some people very kindly made T-shirts for me.
Oh my God.
With that saying, and I got a bunch of them, and they overnighted them and
That's
everything.
hysterical.
So I would have. So I go there, and there was of course, a surprise guest, and so I go in the secret elevator, and that's where the secret guests go, and I go in that elevator, and so I get on the elevator, and there's a couple on the elevator, and the guy is so strikingly handsome. I don't even notice the girl. I just cannot take my eyes off of this guy. Only, and then in a minute, she says to me, "Aren't you Chris's mom?" And I look, and it was Sonequa, and she had a cap on and her hair pulled back and sunglasses.
She's
and
gorgeous.
Her husband is one of the writers or something on the
He's
show.
on the show too. He's from Alexandria.
And he's on the show.
Yeah.
Oh my God. He is so striking.
He is gorgeous.
So anyway, I start laughing and I go, I'm really sorry. I didn't even realize it was you because I was so busy looking at your husband laughing. So, and then I realized she's the surprise guest and I went,
because she died.
So anyway, Jeffrey is on that show, and after the show, he walks over to me. I had no idea he knew what I had said on Twitter, and I have a picture of this that Chris took, and he walks over to me. He pulls me to him, and he puts his mouth right on my ear and says it in my ear.
Wow.
And
Holy
Chris
cow.
took a picture of it. Then he took a picture of us holding those T-shirts up.
That's awesome.
And then me and Sonequa holding the T-shirts up. So, yeah,
wow.
I can tell you he is stunningly gorgeous.
And he's super tall. He's
so nice.
He's
so
the
damn
nicest guy. And, it was really great. I'm very fortunate that I've gotten to be friendly with Gail Ann Hurd, and she lives in Pasadena. I live in Pasadena. And so we were at dinner or lunch, I don't remember, and I was talking about what a brilliant casting that was.
Genius.
And she said, yes, they were going for the typical, the guy, what was the guy, Dwight?
Mm-hmm.
No, not Dwight. What's the guy, his right-hand guy that got killed
Simon.
Simon.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why I couldn't think of it. Simon was kind of the type they were going for in the beginning. And somebody, and I believe it was Gail, because Gail wouldn't just take the credit for it, so she didn't name herself. But someone had the brilliant idea to cast Jeffrey, because he is the monster of all monsters that you have a hard time.
You love to hate him, but you hate, you hate to love him.
You know what I mean? Yeah. You don't really want to love him, but
you do, because he's so charming.
You can't help it.
And immediately that first episode where they showed who Negan was, finally, I was like, I was hooked. I was like, I love this guy, but he's so evil, and I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if you've noticed, but to me, the contrast. They're all sweaty and dirty, and like that, and he's just glistening.
Yeah,
his hair.
He looks like he smells good.
He's got that white T-shirt. Yeah. And they even do this thing. I know they do. Somehow with the camera, but when he smiles, I can see like his teeth glistening.
Yes, like a little ding, obviously.
Yes,
yeah,
exactly. And I mean, so that's how brilliant they are, because you look at him and you're like, you don't want to take your eyes off of him, and and then the first episode of the season where Glenn gets killed, and we haven't seen it yet. Mm-hmm. They had this big thing at this big cemetery in LA for the
Hollywood Cemetery, where
Hollywood,
that
wherever.
was awesome.
Yeah.
So I'm walking. I was down, with Chris and where they brought all the actors.
Yeah, the whole cast.
red
The whole
carpet.
Yeah,
cast.
didn't it rain
Yes.
that day? Like for the
Yeah.
first time
Yes.
in decades?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. And so they bring, so I was down there, and now it's time to walk down to where they're going to show the episode. We don't know really what's going to happen, but we all fear, what it is. And I am walking there with someone else, and Jeffrey is walking towards me with Norman, and they both see me, and so Norman picks me up and gives me a kiss, and Jeffrey picks me up and he starts to kiss my face, and I go, no, I think I'm gonna have to hate you in a few minutes. To which he says, I am never gonna let that happen. And I went, okay, kill them all. I don't really
Right.
care.
Okay. All righty.
I don't care. And the last episode, I had broken 2 of my toes, and they just hurt so bad. I didn't, so I stayed home. I usually go, but I stayed home, and I had all my doors open, and I was watching the episode, and I can't see any of my neighbors. It's like I live in a park, but I do have neighbors, but I can't see them. But they were having something in their backyard, and so because I had all my doors open, I'm watching the episode, and I really thought that Jeffrey was going to die.
Rick had killed him. That's what I said. I hit Randall on the back of the head. I was like, oh, Rick just killed Negan.
And I screamed out, and I went, no!
Yeah.
Like that. And my neighbor next door goes, Sharon, are you okay in there? And I said, because I can't ever hear them. They can't hear me. We don't,
But you screamed.
I can't see them. We talk over the fence, but we can't see each other. And so, and then I had to say, I'm sorry. I was watching The Walking Dead. And I mean, because I don't want him to get killed off.
No.
I really don't.
It would be such a bummer. Oh,
I was so bummed out when the governor got killed. I can't even tell you, because I loved him too. I thought
he was a good villain.
I thought he was the best adversary for Rick. And I was sorry that they didn't wait until Rick got his balls back.
Yeah.
And then they really could have been,
right.
They really could have gone toe to toe. And I felt like killing him when Rick was at his weakest. I would really like to have seen it. But again, it's the same way I feel about coaching. I'm not a Monday morning quarterback. And I do swear a lot about it. And I go, I don't know why they called that play. I do that except with Nick Saban. I mean, to me, you don't question the GOAT.
I know. Yeah, you can't ever question him. Like, why is he putting in that freshman quarterback in the last couple minutes? Oh, yeah, to win the game.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you just don't ever question Nick Saban. And I have said, like Kirby Smart left and he goes to Georgia.
Yes.
And, this one goes here and that one goes there, and they're always, and people are like, oh my God, he lost his offensive coordinator,
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Let me tell you something. Back in the olden days, coaches didn't rely. They had assistants, but that was mostly just to help keep the players in line. But the head coaches, like Bear Bryant, Bear Bryant ran that team. Bear Bryant was the offensive, the defensive, the special teams coach. He was the coach. And that's what, and I said, you know what? Every one of his staff could walk out tomorrow and Saban could coach his team himself, just like Bear Bryant did, just like the great coaches always did. And that's the great thing about him is no one can hold him hostage because he can do his job and your job and everybody else.
No, you're exactly right. That's the best way to put it.
And
Nobody
he can mold.
could hold him hostage.
No, they can't. No,
Yeah.
and if they leave, they leave. So what?
It doesn't matter. Yeah.
No.
And he's always got a backup. Like he's
Always.
got somebody waiting in the lobby for every position and every coaching job.
He knows how to also take these very talented coaches that have maybe made a bad choice or,
Like
or
Lane
had
Kiffin.
an issue. Yeah,
Yeah,
or Sarkisian, they had problems.
Oh, yeah.
And he knows that they're very good coaches and they're valuable assets. And he'll give them a second chance. And because of that, they work their butts off for him, and then he helps revive their careers.
Exactly.
He's a brilliant guy.
Oh, he really is. I mean, I could talk 2 more hours about this. Then all my friends will be mad at me again. But.
Well, yeah, I get enough of it from Randall, I guess.
Well,
I do respect him a lot, but it's like, we were so close.
Know.
So close.
I know. I mean, look, you have to root for your alma mater. When, I always find it amusing when, I'm at a game, and of course I love UCLA, and I live 1 minute and 57 seconds from my kids at the Rose Bowl, and then people come in from Oregon or wherever they're coming in from. I'm not going to fight with them for rooting for their team. What do I expect them to do?
Right.
Root for my team
right.
when that's their school?
Yeah.
So I respect
silly.
everyone rooting for their own team. I'm just sorry for everyone
that's not an Alabama fan.
I know. I feel badly.
I know.
Well, I need to also ask you this, since you're a Hurricane, and now this time I really promise it's my last question. It's my third.
I don't care.
It's my third last question, Sharon, and I'm sorry.
That's fine. Anytime.
Who is your favorite Miami Hurricane
Of all time.
of all time? I'll tell you mine first, just because I do love the Hurricanes. I love that program. I'm a big Sean Taylor guy.
Yeah.
I love Sean Taylor. I miss him.
Okay.
I hate what happened to him, but he would have been, in my opinion, the best defensive player of all time in his career if he'd not been killed.
I know. I certainly can't. I wasn't thinking of him. I mean, God.
There's so many.
It's so hard to pick, but I guess maybe Jim Kelly, all time.
Tell Sharon who's number 2 on my answer.
Oh, yeah, he wrote down next to Sean Taylor, Jim Kelly.
Oh, there you go.
I sure did.
Well, and y'all got Mark Rick down there too, who's
yeah.
I adore him.
He's a cane. He's a cane.
I know. Yeah, he is. But he's
a great man.
He's such a great, overall, just a good human. And he did such good things at Georgia. I was so sad when he left. But I mean, Kirby Smart's pretty awesome.
Kirby Smart is nothing to sneeze at.
Oh, I love Kirby Smart. Yeah, for sure.
I do too.
Mark Rick was just there for my whole time when I went to college there, and then after.
Right.
So it was just like losing a family member. It seemed like. But then Kirby Smart definitely, love him. He got us in the national championship and. So close.
Oh, and he'll have Georgia. Close. Georgia will be good for years to come because of Kirby.
Absolutely.
He's a recruiting machine. He learned from Saban. Plus, he already had a great coaching base. I mean, he can't. He's a great nemesis.
But we are not doing another tattoo bet if they get to the national championship again.
No more.
I don't want multiple Alabama tattoos.
Well, that was very impressive. I really, I don't know. That was just one of my favorite things I ever saw on Twitter. I just thought that was awesome.
She's got balls of stone, Sharon.
I'm telling you.
She wouldn't let me let her out of it either. Like there was,
yeah. I think I'm going to give my beach ball sized lady nuts to
Yes.
and I will bow down at your feet when I hand it to you.
Yes.
That is awesome.
Thank you.
Well, Sharon, do you want to, I'm sure everyone that is going to listen to this already knows your Twitter handle.
Yeah, is there anything else that you would want to plug besides at Nerdist Mom on Twitter?
Oh, no. Watch, if they hear this before tomorrow night, watch Chris on NBC tomorrow night, Thursday night, 10 o'clock for Red Nose Day.
Oh, yeah.
That is awesome.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I watched him on Fallon.
Oh, my God. I could not believe that Jimmy showed that slip and fall. And you know how hard that is for me. And,
Aw.
you know, it's delayed
He
here.
took
It
it
was
like a
live.
champ, though. He
did.
recovered so well.
I know, but I can't tell you how hard. And for me to see it again, I didn't know it was coming.
Oh, it just broke your heart all over again to see it, I'm sure.
Well, fortunately for me, because I'm on the West Coast, I didn't see it live. So I saw it 3 hours later, and he called me immediately when it was over, and he said, listen,
Oh.
I'm okay. And when he starts out like, I'm okay, I go, what happened?
Yeah.
What happened? And then he said, well, I slipped and fell when I came out. And he said...
Because he knew you would be freaking out when you watched it.
Because it was a terrible fall.
I mean, that was
to
straight
look
from
at.
standing up all the way down to, like, his back. I mean, that could have really
and
hurt
I
him.
Just thought, and then, of course, I was worried for months that there was an injury coming from it, but I would never say that. I said, well, you got up and walked right away,
Yep.
so, you know, you're going to be fine, because I don't like to plant those other seeds. you
Right.
know.
And then he'd be like, oh, wait, maybe my back is hurt, you know, like,
Yeah.
but.
Yeah. Yeah, so I said, no, well, as long as you got right up and walked, so that says nothing bad happened. And
Yeah.
he's like, yeah, I feel fine. And
He took it like a champ for sure. Because, I mean, to come out.
he warned me, but I have to tell you something. Even though he warned me, I was not prepared for that fall. I really was.
That was, I mean, that
Oh,
was bad.
God.
That looked like it hurt. But, yeah. Well, so glad he is okay. And he definitely took it like a champ. So he's going to be on
He did.
NBC tomorrow. I think we're going to post this maybe
Yeah, tomorrow.
I think we're going to post this one tomorrow, and then we have another one we're going to post Friday. But yeah, thank you so much for coming and talking to us.
Sharon. You're the
Oh, my
best.
gosh. It was such a great visit with you guys and talking football. And I love your rivalry, and I love, you know, your relationship that you have with each other over having different schools. It's awesome.
We don't let that
I
get in the way.
No, you can't. But I think next time, maybe instead of the, you know, the tattoo thing, I don't know, maybe you guys could pick out some sexual favors.
That's always a doozy.
Yep,
and
everyone
wins.
We've got several months to think about that too. To
100 days.
100.
Yeah, and it'd be like, you know, okay, you know, a year's worth of. You know,
there you go.
Till the next playoff game or something.
Oh my
Might
god.
be a little better and a little more fun than having to tattoo your
Right, no
body.
permanent nothing
right.
permanent to remember. I mean, at least the elephant's cute though, you know? I mean,
I know, but Brooke, what a woman. I mean, Randall, you really got the best woman. I'm telling you, I'm
yes.
so impressed.
Yes, he would agree. He stepped away right now, but he would agree.
Oh.
She said I'm the best woman, so yeah.
Yep. Yeah,
Oh,
I'm in absolute awe, and as I said, I would bow down to you for doing that.
Thank you so much. It was a
is
good time.
amazing.
It was fun, and you know, getting to do it we got to go on a radio station for it, which was crazy. It was like a whirlwind of craziness, but it was
so
it was a good time, and yeah.
It kind of is what spawned this podcast, honestly, because we went on the Atlanta's biggest radio show.
awesome.
And, you know, we had a lot of people that started, you know, reaching out to us on social media over it. And it's kind of what
Well,
made
we
us
got
be
our
like,
first
well,
taste of a bunch of haters because there was
we had,
a
of
lot
course,
of hate.
Yeah, we had half the
on-
people were
geez.
super mean and all that.
Yeah.
And we've never been, you know, fans of that kind of stuff.
Oh,
anyway,
it was just fun.
Yeah.
but-
It's funny. And I mean, It's kind of funny if they were mean about that. I just like to send back laughing face emojis.
Oh, yeah. Randall was really good at handling those people. It was just like, oh, well, God bless you.
Yeah. And bite me on the way out.
Right.
Yeah. But we
Well, I hope that you all will get out to LA sometime, and I would love to meet you in person. And
absolutely love that.
I want to see that tattoo.
Yeah.
Well, we will always be following you on Twitter, and we will.
Same here. I'll be following you.
We'll update you when we post this. We'll tag you in it, and it's such a pleasure, and you are a delight.
Here.
And we love Chris, both of us, and
thank you.
You should be so proud. You've done such a great job, and then your Twitter is absolutely amazing.
Well, thank you. We'll stay in touch. I've got your number now. You've got mine. So
yeah.
We'll just stay in touch, and I hope you'll come out here someday.
Absolutely. Whenever we do get out there, we will definitely let you know. And
please let me know.
Yeah, and then if you ever start your podcast, keep us in mind.
Yes, I'll have you guys on.
Awesome. Well, thank you again, and
okay.
Have a wonderful night. And
Thanks,
tell Chris we said hello too.
I will. He's very lucky to have fans like you guys.
Oh.
Thank you for all your support.
Well, thank you. Have a good one.
You guys.
Bye.
You guys take care. Okay, bye.